Hello, everyone. This is my first interview. It's probably going to be pretty ratchet. Still figuring out everything. Still got cheap equipment, but I'm going to do the best I can. So today I'm interviewing a friend of mine that I was in treatment with, a 4-month program. Um, and oh shit, hang on.
I just want to say this is not going to be ratchet because of me.
I gotta do something here. Shit. All right, never mind. I'm just gonna do this. Okay. Let's see here. So, I guess the first thing I would ask is I know in my early life, um, my grandfather was an alcoholic. My father was an alcoholic. I don't remember when my dad used to drink uh, in my early life. That kind of happened before my brain switched on to where I started having memories and stuff. But throughout my life, like pretty much most of my entire family was either alcoholic or drug addict. So I was gonna ask you,
Wasn't that normal
is
for
it?
people? I thought it was. My
So,
grandparents were alcoholics. They drank on a daily basis. I grew up around alcohol, um, and well, we'll say drugs, but not no hard drugs. I didn't ever see none of that. It was typical, normal for me to be in the room and a joint get passed around.
yeah,
Them cigarettes that smelled a little different.
yeah,
They made everybody happy. Um, I didn't totally understand why those cigarettes were different than the other ones,
yeah,
but I was definitely around those. But yeah, alcohol, I thought that was normal. I mean, like I said, my grandparents drank. Um, Mom drank. Stepfather who raised me since I was a kid, he drank. It was just normal for me. I thought that's how all families were.
mine was a little more extreme. I think. Yeah, I grew up around the pot smoke and the drinking and all that, but around age 15 or so, my mom introduced me to crack cocaine. I smoked it with my mom and my sister when I was like 15 years old. And looking back on it, I guess things progressed pretty quickly for me. I didn't smoke pot. My cousin smoked pot with me the first time. I didn't really start drinking though until I was like 21. Surprisingly enough, took me a long time to understand that I was an alcoholic. I consider myself an alcoholic that treats my alcoholism with many different things. Um, so, uh, what happened when you got introduced to it? I mean, I guess it must have been good for a little while, or else we wouldn't do that stuff. It was an answer to our problem on the inside that we have. So,
Yeah, well, for me, like I said, I was around the drink since I was very young, like 5 years old. It was very typical for me to come home from school and, my parents, their friends, grandparents, whoever, sitting around the kitchen table playing cards, drinking beer, drinking liquor, passing a joint around. And I remember when I was, I don't know, 5 maybe, I remember walking in on it and I grabbed one of the drinks and it had to be some strong
yeah,
Jack Daniels or something because I remember I turned it down and as a 5-year old it like took my breath. Like I'm not gonna say that this was the moment when I realized, oh, I have arrived.
yeah,
But yeah, I was introduced. That was the first time I did it. But like I said, I thought it was normal. I didn't think it was anything about alcoholism or I was an alcoholic or even that my parents were alcoholic. I just thought it was normal.
yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some other some other substances got involved as I got older.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I remember a lot of arguments with my parents, screaming matches every night and stuff like that. But I mean, I would tell you if you would ask me, I had a great childhood. I mean, I did. I mean, family had money, we owned a business, had great Christmases. But I kind of forget the part where there were screaming matches and breaking glass and stuff like that. So it was definitely a dysfunctional household. So, all right, moving forward. So, uh, when you started using and drinking, like early on
Like
to
when I started
not,
doing my thing for enjoyment.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was probably uh I don't know, maybe 13 or so. I grew up in a pretty big neighborhood, the neighborhood guys. There was probably, I don't know, 20 of us that grew up in this neighborhood. And some of them had started smoking pot before me, and I got lured into doing that. And I mean, I can honestly say the first few times I smoked pot, it did nothing for me. We're smoking weed, hitting the bowl, and I just didn't see no point in it because it didn't really do nothing for me. But about the age of, I don't know, I was probably 15, because I smoked pot here and there, but it never did nothing until I was 15 about. And I remember the first time I felt, the effects of some marijuana. Uh, I hung out with some older kids from school, and they took me to a house, and we were smoking off the water bong.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God! And I remember,
The old tobacco master that I had stand on top of a bed.
dude, we had so many, and that's when the gravity bong. You remember making those?
Yep.
Cutting a 2-liter bottle. Holy shit! Like making gravity bong. So
Gas
I
mask.
would, yeah, gas mask. and, and we would sit in a room with black light and have the black light poster and have the music blaring and just. I remember the first time that I felt the effects of that, man. I was probably 15, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, loved it. So, I started, I started continuing hanging out with those older kids. And then, we would drink. Um, it was a normal thing every weekend. We'd go over to, I remember the guy's name, his name's Shane Neff. He was an older dude. He sold pot.
Yeah.
And hell, I'm 15, and some of the other guys, we'd get whatever money we could, and we'd go buy us a quarter bag, and we'd sit at his house and pack that water bong all night long and drink. And dude, I loved it. That was the greatest. That was like, man, that's where it's at.
Yep. Back when things were still good.
See, all right, so I didn't really talk about the child before 12. So I told you, like, growing up, it was normal for my parents to drink and all that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too pleasant in my house. If you ask me, I wouldn't say I had a good childhood. Um, there was a lot of fighting going on. My stepdad, he was pretty abusive. And I caught the ass end of that. When he get drunk, I was the one who endured, the pain. And yeah, I physically got beat on by a grown man when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. So when when this whole pot came along and it made me feel great, man, I was down for not being around my house and staying away as much as possible because I didn't have to worry about none of that going on.
Yeah. Um. Okay. So for me, it was a really slow progression throughout my life. It started with the pot. I was just a huge pothead for many years. I think when it first really started changing for me was like the first time I went to a dentist, and they still gave pain pills out back then. It was either hydrocodone or Percocet, and I love those way too much. I'd always take more than I was supposed to.
Hell yeah, you're supposed to.
Yeah, start breaking them up and snorting them. Yeah, and I think that was kind of the beginning of the progression for me. Got a little static there. So
I kind of agree with you. For me, that was 15 years old. It didn't get bad for me till I don't know. I was probably 20. I'll go ahead and say I do not remember my 30s. I'm 43 now. I do not remember age 30 to 40. I don't remember. That's when it was bad for me.
yeah,
But up until that point, yeah, it started with the weed, and then you know, I remember started skipping school just to smoke pot. and whoever's house we would go hang out at, we would search the medicine cabinets, and all we looked for was alcohol may intend the effects of this medication.
Yeah.
If it said that, oh, give me that shit. We're splitting that bottle up, and we're looking for some alcohol to drink with it because it intensifies the effects, you know.
I remember when I used to donate plasma and stuff, I'd go home and drink a couple 40s and just, about half dead. It was like, yeah, that really intensified the effects.
Yo, when we found out that my parents, my mom and my stepdad got prescribed Valium,
Yeah.
holy shit. Valiums and a 22, do you remember the 22 ounces?
Yeah.
Double doses?
Yeah.
Oh, a Bud Ice. Oh my goodness.
Mine was Bud Light. I like Bud Light Lime a lot.
Well, Bud Ice had a little bit more percentage alcohol.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
we always went for the ice, you know.
Yeah.
This is before the Four Loko and all that shit.
Yeah.
Or some Mad Dog 2020.
Still Reserve.
Some Mad Dog 2020. God dang. Give me a trash can.
Yeah.
Something's coming back up. But yeah, so like I said, 15 started with the pot, 16, 17 started the pills. I didn't know real hard drugs till, I don't know, maybe 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Then the whole that booger sugar, remember that?
Look.
Boy,
Yeah.
the damn cocaine.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I was introduced to that a little bit, but my progression, after the pain pills and stuff, yeah, there'd be a time or two I might do coke or might experiment with ecstasy or stuff like that.
Yeah, that shit came along later.
But the consequences weren't that great for a long time. And there'd be sometimes when I'd drink, because I could never predict what would happen. Sometimes I'd be fine. I'd usually make an ass out of myself, but there'd be other times I'd black out. I'd wake up in an ambulance or in a hospital in another county, handcuffed to a hospital bed, nearly choked to death on my own vomit, alcohol poisoning, this and that. But when we're young, that stuff didn't matter. I didn't have to face real consequences for a long time, mainly because my parents were very enabling of me. I always had them to fall back on.
Well, for me, there was no enabling for me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. This is how my house went. Like I said, my stepdad, he was pretty abusive, but then when I got of age and became older, him physically coming at me, that came to a stop because
Yeah, you fight back, man.
yeah, I can fight back now.
Yeah.
So that came to a stop. And 17, 16, 17, 18, my mom, she was like I said, we grew up in a big neighborhood, a bunch of guys. My mom was the cool one.
Yeah.
She knew we smoked pot. She knew we drank. She would rather us sit at my house and do it there. And she would say, I'll sit here and safely do it than to be out there in the streets doing it.
Yeah.
So my house was the house to be at.
Yeah, mine was the same, I think.
But now at this point, she didn't know about the pills. She didn't know about the ecstasy.
Yep.
She didn't know about the cocaine. She just thought we was young teenage boys smoking pot, drinking beer.
Yeah.
But behind her back, we're doing, harder drugs.
A little bit of harder stuff.
But as far as enabling, that's the only enabling that she really did for me because she was an alcoholic. Hell,
yeah.
She didn't buy us beer. Well, she did buy me my keg for my 17th birthday, and we did that. But as far as me getting money or anything like that, me growing up, I would tell you we were poor. Me being an adult today, I know that we wasn't poor. We just wasn't rich.
Right.
So yeah, that's how it was for me for a long time. It started going. At this point, I didn't think we're going downhill.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not going to school, skipping school every day to smoke pot. We're going boosting shit at Walmart so we can go to Shane's and buy us a quarter bag.
Yeah.
But that was 17, 18, 19. My mom, she finally got tired of me not doing anything. I'm not working. I quit school. I don't have a job. I'm just a burned out teenager smoking pot, lazy. She got tired of it. She's like, look, you need to go to I'm calling your dad. I can't take it no more. You're not going nowhere in life. I'm gonna make you go live with your dad.
Yeah.
So I had to leave my neighborhood where I grew up with my friends that I've known my whole life, and man, that pissed me off. I was pissed at her for that. So I moved to Greensboro, which is about 20, 30 minutes from from Asheboro, where I'm originally from.
Yeah.
And when I get to Greensboro, my dad's like, "Look, you're either gonna go to work or go to school." And I'm like, "Well, fuck work. I'm going to school." I went back to school, and now I'm in a city school. And man, going from a county school to a city school, that was a culture shock. Like,
Yeah.
these kids are out there smoking blunts at lunch.
Yeah.
Like, "Hey, you want to hit this?" And I'm like, "Yo, there's a teacher right there." They're like, "Oh, don't worry about him. He smokes too." So yeah, it was a big difference. So I stayed with my dad for, I don't know, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Some of my friends from Asheboro, they would come up. My dad, he worked second shift, so they would come up there and we would party at his house for 2 years. But then I started missing home, and I thank God I moved back to my mom's, because when I was 19, I moved back home to her house. She let me come back, and I was there about a year, and she passed away when I was 20. And when she passed away, my stepdad, he he kicked me out after my mom passed.
Yeah.
So now I'm 20 years old. My mom just died. I'm homeless. I gotta stay wherever I can. So that's when it started. The cocaine, I had done cocaine before, but now I don't have to hide nothing
Yeah.
from no one. I'm out in the streets. I can do what the hell I want. So I remember me and some friends. There was these three sisters that lived in High Point. Two of my friends was dating two of the girls, and they had an older sister. I hooked up with her, and we all lived together, and it was party central.
Yeah.
Ecstasy. I remember getting my paycheck because I did have a job. I worked for Lowe's Hardware, but every paycheck, man, I would go buy a couple grams of cocaine and the rest of it on booze and ecstasy, and we'd live it up for, Friday night, Saturday night, recover Sunday, go back to work on Monday, bumming cigarettes and shit. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So I didn't, I lived with my parents most of my life. They shielded me from a lot of consequences and stuff. Things didn't really get bad for me. I didn't realize really how bad my problem was till like my early to mid 30s. That was when I got introduced to the worst thing I think that ever happened to me. Ex-girlfriend of mine
An
introduced.
ex-girlfriend, that was the worst thing?
No,
You got introduced to?
Well,
Holy
in a
shit.
way, yeah, because she introduced me to heroin.
Heroin.
And that's when the needle came into the picture, and that's when things is the progressive illness of this thing. It just goes faster and faster and faster, and that's when it really started rapidly going downhill.
Well, see, the difference in me and you was, all right, so it got bad for me when the needle came involved.
Yeah.
But I had a different thing in my needle.
Yeah.
You had that. I never understood the heroin because it makes people want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Not me. Hell no.
That's when I mixed it with meth.
Yes, I'm a methamphetamine.
I did speedballs.
Dude, I wasn't trying to slow down at all. All gas, no brakes. I started putting meth. I remember, I started smoking meth, and then I asked a guy one time because I fell in love with the needle. I first started with the needle doing pain pills, Roxy 30s, but then I started the meth, and when I found meth, that was the point when I had arrived.
Yeah.
Dude, I could drink all night long and not pass out. I could do a lot of things on meth. I could clean the whole house. I could mow the yard. I remember one time I weed eated the whole front yard for somebody. But yeah, methamphetamine.
I remember the first time I did meth, so there's a scar on the side of my face.
Yeah.
The very first time I did it, I felt like there was a blackhead in there, and I couldn't get it out.
Oh,
I was scratching, and I took a knife and I was digging in my face,
Hell
trying to dig it out, and my face got all messed up.
Dude,
Those meth mites, man. Those are
them things are a
yeah,
motherfucker.
they get in you.
And once you see one, you see another.
It's
One,
one of my arm.
dude, you get one, and you think you got them all. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, you look, there's another one.
Ugh.
The next thing you know, you're looking like Freddy Krueger the next
There'd
morning.
be sometimes I'd be able to catch myself like, all right, every time I do this, I start digging in myself. I just gotta focus on not doing it. Eventually I could do that. But yeah. So at that point, I think when I really realized I had a problem, started being sick all the time, and what hurt me the most is when my dad called me a junkie one day, and that hurt worse than anything. I think.
Oh hell,
Yeah.
I remember being called a junkie one time from a guy from the dealer. I went to his house to buy some dope, and everybody's smoking meth. You know, everybody got their bag or whatever that they bought from the guy, and I bought mine. And I was like, "Hey man, you mind if I use your bathroom to do this?" And he said, "Oh man, you're one of them junkies too."
Oh no.
I took offense to that. How dare you call me a junkie?
I'm not a junkie.
I'm
Don't you
not
know
a
who I
junkie.
am?
I said, buddy, I'm not a junkie. And I really believe that. I'm not a junkie.
Yeah.
I said it. Clean up after myself. I don't leave blood everywhere. To me, a junkie was a person that was nasty and like you saw on TV. You know,
That was me.
oh my God.
Eventually.
Yeah. Eventually, me too. Yeah. Hell, I drew water. I remember.
Shooting up rainwater. I'd use my own spit one time. Dirty needles.
Dirty needle. I kept a needle in my pocket for 2 years.
Yeah. I'd use my girlfriend. She gave me Hep C. I mean, I got it cured while I was at rebound, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been through the Hep C. I mean, I had a needle in my pocket for so long, you could stick yourself from around the corner, man. And any time I was around someone, they had a new needle, man. That was like a godsend. I
Oh
just
wow.
yeah, you got a new one? Let me hold that.
Then you realize you could get them for free, with the needle program and all that.
Well, they didn't have that back then.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what really started messing me up when I started using dirty needles and stuff. That's when I had my little health problem, got the infection, sepsis in me, in my bloodstream, caught on my spine at the cervical collar, rotted a piece of my spine away, nearly paralyzed me from the neck down.
Oh.
Had my spine fused, steel cage put in my neck. I think that was the scariest point for me, but still the insanity of it was I kept going. But
Hell yeah, we do. Hey, I got sepsis one time. I remember. Look, when it comes to the needle, when I learned it, dude, I would put if I could put weed in a needle, I would have did more weed.
I shot crack.
Oh, that's the story I'm about to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked somebody one time because I was addicted to using the needle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had crack one time, and I was like, "Damn, man, I'd rather have something to shoot up." They was like, "Well, you can shoot up crack. You just gotta break it down with lemon
You
juice."
could use some Mountain Dew, anything acidic.
Yeah, so I tried that. Well, I did it and I missed.
Yeah.
And I had a big abscess that come up, and it ended up getting in my bloodstream.
Yeah.
And I literally about died from it.
You can never tell what's going to happen when that happens. I've heard of people having to have like arms and legs amputated. It can go to your heart, it can go to your brain, or what happened to me.
So yeah, so when it happened with me, I remember it got so bad on my arm I couldn't even move my arm.
Yeah.
And I'm calling my sisters. I'm like, "Look, something's wrong. I need to go see a doctor or something." And I had this red. My whole from my arm was turning red. It's coming across my chest. That's seriously the most pain I have ever felt in my life.
That was
And we call and they're gonna take me to the doctor. I go to the hospital in Asheboro. They treat me like what I was, a junkie.
Mhm.
They thought I was in there just trying to get drugs.
Yep.
They sent me home. So day goes by, and I'm calling my sisters. I'm like, "Look, we got to go somewhere else." So we go to Greensboro. Same thing. He's a junkie. You know, they send me on my way. Long story short, I end up going to Chapel Hill. Oh, both hospitals kept saying I need an MRI so they could figure out. And I'm like, "Well, give me a freaking MRI." But I didn't have insurance. Yada yada yada. So they don't do that.
Really?
Yeah, they won't give me an MRI. So my sister found a place, one of the Mercy clinics. They would give me an MRI, and it'd be free, but it was going to take like 2 month waiting list.
Ugh.
I ain't got 2 months. So they called Chapel Hill And Chapel Hill, it's a big college. They'll take anybody. It's a learning experience for them.
Yeah.
So when they take me in there, they give me an MRI, and they told me what was wrong. I had an infection that had settled in my shoulder, and I had septic, and it started to spread through my whole body. And I was like, well, thank God somebody finally told me what's wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, so what's the fix? You gonna give me some antibiotics? Because all the other hospitals think I want pain meds.
Yeah.
I was like, I want it fixed. They was like, and so I'm like, so what are you gonna do? Give me some antibiotics and send me home? They're like, Mr. Suits, no, we're admitting you to the hospital.
Yeah.
8 more hours of this untreated, you would die.
Damn.
Dude, I laid up in Chapel Hill Hospital for a month because I had to get a vancomycin.
Yeah.
I believe it's the strongest antibiotic in the United States.
Yeah.
I had to get 2 bags of that shit a day to overcome this.
See, what they did to me is they put a PICC line in me. Those that don't know what a PICC line is something that insert.
It's easy access. Let me tell you that.
I shot in that too.
That's the reason I said I had to stay there for a month.
Yeah.
They put a PICC line in me.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to send me home because, like they said, they're going to send me back home with a easy access to put more drugs in.
Yep.
They wouldn't send me home, so they admitted me to the hospital, and I had to stay there for a month with this PICC line.
Yeah. So moving on. So I guess this is the point where we start getting into hitting bottom, because that was kind of that around that point for me. So I never faced any consequences while my parents were still around, but eventually my mom got cirrhosis from drinking every day, but she ended up passing away in her sleep from a brain aneurysm, and it was just me and my dad, and he had COPD, and he ended up passing away from heart failure due to that. And then, I mean, I love my dad. He was a great man. I love my parents, but I think that was the only way I was going to hit a bottom and start to reach out for help, because I was
so you lost your dad?
Yeah, because I was so dependent on them. I didn't know how to live life on my own. He could never bring himself to kick me out, which is what I needed, but he could never do that to me. And in the long run, it did more harm than good. But once he passed away, I was in the house, stayed there as long as I could to the last day till I got evicted, and then that's when it started going downhill really bad. Started sleeping in my truck, his truck that I got from him when he passed away. That lasted until, I got a DUI. I ended up selling my truck for dope because, I couldn't drive anymore legally.
Hell, might as well sell the shit.
Yeah, I got ripped off.
Probably didn't have a driver's license no more.
No, but I ended up catching a charge because the license plate was in my name, and my dumb ass didn't take the license plate off, and the dude that I sold it to ended up running from the cops. And I got hit with the charge of a felony flee to elude, which caused me problems for quite a few years, even after I came to Charlotte and went into treatment. But after that, I went around for a while, sleeping on couches, and until nobody wanted me around anymore. I was unwelcome. Ended up sleeping in the woods behind the methadone clinic. Went to jail a few times, and finally, one day I was so sick I couldn't hardly walk. Tried to walk to the treatment center, and they wouldn't let me in because of the COVID. Or they thought I had COVID, and they said I needed to get a test. I just went out and laid in the grass and called 911. I needed an ambulance to come get me because I couldn't walk anymore, and they did, and I ended up getting in there. And there's somebody I got in contact with in Charlotte. My grandmother told me he knew my dad, a guy named Josh Bone. He runs a lot of treatment center or sober living houses in Charlotte, 20-something by now, but I owe that man a lot because he came and picked me up and took me to Charlotte, and that's kind of where things started for me. So I guess, when did things hit bottom for you, and when did you, try to finally start seeking help?
Hitting bottom, man. Let's see. So you said like when losing your dad, that's when things turned for you. Well, I too lost my dad. I lost my mom when I was 20, my dad when I was 25. And like I said, when that happened, that's when it started for me. Like, nobody.
No enabling, man.
No enabling. Well, there was never no enabling from them, but there was nobody I had to answer to, nobody to disappoint.
Yep.
So all bets are off, man.
Yeah.
From 20 up until my late 30s, man. Like when I talk right now, it's gonna sound like it just like that, but no, we're talking almost
Yeah.
almost at least 15 to 18 years.
A lot of pain.
Was I enjoyed it. But hitting bottom for me
Yeah.
was like doing the meth. It got to when I first started doing meth, it was a great thing. I had fun with it. I mean, couldn't sleep, stay up all night, fucking.
I couldn't be around other tweakers, man.
Oh, well, see, that's how it got for me at first. In the first, I don't know, man. For a lot of years, man, I could be that one center of attention, always cutting up. But it got to the point. I mean, shooting meth, it messes with your head.
Yeah.
It got to the point
Temporary.
to where I would be normal as I am right now talking to you.
Mhm.
As soon as I stuck that needle in my arm and pushed it through,
Gone.
gone. I swear to God, there is people after me. There's someone in that wall.
Somebody following me.
There is someone in that wall staring at me right now. And they're recording everything I'm saying. Oh, hell, you're recording everything I'm saying now.
God, could you imagine? You'd be going nuts right now.
Oh, my
Get
goodness.
don't point that phone at me.
Yeah, like you're doing right now, you're pointing the phone at me.
Yeah.
People would not be recording me. They just be talking on the phone, and I would think
They're recording.
recording me. So it got to the point where no one, the guy that was the life of the party, everyone loved to be around,
Yeah.
they no longer wanted to be around.
Yep.
And hitting rock bottom for me was, I remember it was the Halloween of 2020. It was Halloween. I'd done been up about 2 weeks. I done probably shot a gram of meth, probably smoked a gram of meth, and done snorted I don't know how many hot rails. Those who don't know what a hot rail is, it's where you take a glass tube, you heat it up very hot,
Yeah.
and you snort a big old line, and it
Turns to smoke.
turns to smoke and
right to the brain.
straight to the brain. And for me, like I said, as soon as I would get high on meth, I started tripping in my head,
Oof.
thinking everybody's after me, somebody's trying to kill me.
Oof.
Oh my God, the feds are after me. I mean, like, I really thought the feds are after me because I got a gram, $20 worth of dope in my
Yeah.
pocket.
Thought white SUVs were following me everywhere.
Dude, I had shadowed people.
Mhm.
So hitting rock bottom was that last night, Halloween of 2020. I'm in a house with some people, and I feel like they're plotting on me,
Yeah.
and they're about to kill me. And I end up running out of that house to their neighbors at midnight and banging on their back door for them to let me in, that someone was trying to kill me.
Oof.
They wouldn't let me in, so I kicked in the back door. And they called the cops. And the cops came, want to know what's going on. I told them, look, there's people out here trying to kill me. They don't believe me. They take me to jail. And the magistrate, he let me sign myself out of jail that night. I pleaded with him, please don't let me out of here. Do you not hear what I'm saying? There is people out there trying to kill me. Do you not have a room I can stay in?
Yeah.
And
hospital.
So no, they didn't even do that. They let me sign myself out, and I camped out in the Randolph County Jail lobby there all night. Finally got someone to come pick me up who I thought I could trust.
Yeah.
As soon as I get in the vehicle, I think they're a part of this whole conspiracy. And I had them take me to another friend's house. And when I get out of the vehicle, I run to their back door. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm pounding on that door for them to let me in, let me in. Well, my friend's mom, she comes to the door. She won't let me in.
Yeah.
She said I'm scaring her, and I'm trying to tell her, let me in. They're out here. And I tell her, if you don't let me in, I'm going to let myself in. So I kicked in that door. Needless to say, when the cops got there this time, they wasn't happy. They took me to jail. This time they kept me. And, it took me about 3 days to realize that I needed some help.
Yeah.
So, it took 3 days for me to realize that I really was in a jail. I thought my sisters had done somehow tricked me into being into a treatment center that looked like my jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was during COVID.
It's the worst treatment center.
Oh my goodness. Like it was during COVID, and every employee at this jail had a mask on.
Yeah.
But every person, I knew them. Like for example, that person working for the jail, that was my friend John, and then this person that was my other friend, and then I knew that was
They were
Sarah.
dressed up like cops.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are y'all doing here? I thought in my head that they all come together and was trying to get me help, and I'm just out of it.
Yeah.
So after about 3 days of sleeping and tripping and thinking, things are definitely not what they really are. I'm really in jail.
Yeah.
I get my phone call. I call my sisters, and they're like, "We're not coming to get you." And I was like, I don't want you to come get me. I want you to help me figure out a way to get some help.
Mm.
And that's the first time I ever reached out, and I found a treatment center here in Charlotte, but where I met you,
Is that where? Yeah, Rebound.
Rebound.
Okay.
We go there, and that I never knew anything about anything to do with recovery up until that point.
Yeah, my dad was a part of a 12-step program. I was introduced to that stuff at an early age, but I didn't really understand it, But it was good that I knew where to go when I needed it. But for me, I didn't want help. I just didn't have a choice because I couldn't support my habits anymore, and I was too afraid to die, and I was just tired, just really tired. So
For me, it wasn't that I couldn't support my habit.
yeah,
It was I was tired of people trying to kill me.
yeah,
Like here's the thing I tell people when you're out throwing that dope. When you convince something to yourself, nobody's gonna.
no,
No one can convince you otherwise.
no,
When you convince yourself people are trying to kill you and you're high on meth,
yeah,
people's trying to kill you.
yeah.
And nobody's gonna tell you otherwise.
Drug induced psychosis.
So yeah, man, when you stay up, you don't even need drugs for 3 days. You stay up for 3 days, you're gonna start tripping. But yeah, so that's really why I came to Charlotte, because I was sick of people being after me and trying to kill me, and me really thinking in my mind that my life was about to come to an end.
Yeah, I came to Charlotte because there wasn't really a whole lot of options where I'm from in Gastonia as far as what's happening.
I don't know. I think I got a phone call or something.
Nope. Anyway, there wasn't a whole lot of options for like long-term treatment and stuff like that. But coming to Rebound, sorry about the audio.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think was the most challenging part in recovery, like trying to get sober and clean stuff?
I mean, to be totally honest, 100 with it, the hardest part for me in recovery was making the decision to do it.
Yeah.
Today, for me, doing recovery, I mean, I know some people struggle.
I did.
I don't feel like I do. I feel like the hardest part for me was to make the decision that I'm done with that life.
Yeah. Well, for me, like I've relapsed quite a bit, and it's been a lot of hard lessons for me. And every time I think I've come back with a little more understanding of what happened and stuff. But so we've been going for 38 minutes, which is pretty good. So
38.
yeah.
Dang, I got another 38 in me.
Okay. Well, so what are some high spots and low spots in your recovery?
Look, I'm gonna tell you some low spots in recovery.
Yeah.
Let's see. How low spots? Hey, man, I've had so many high spots. I can't really say I've had a whole lot of low spots.
Yeah.
High spots for me was getting a driver's license. Man, look, I'll tell you this. So today, I talk with people, and I used to hate when I'd ask someone how they're doing, and they would say, "Just living the dream." What? What the hell do you mean living the dream? What kind of dreams did you have? Like, I had dreams of being rich, famous,
Yeah.
all these, elaborate dreams. But then it hit me one day. It wasn't too many years ago. I dreamed of having a job. I dreamed of having my own car. I dreamed of waking up not looking for dope.
Yeah.
I dreamed of living a normal life. So today, someone asked me how I'm doing. I use it all the time. I'm living the dream. Because it wasn't too many years ago when I dreamed of that.
Sounds like
some high spots was getting a job, getting my driver's license back, The the greatest moment in my recovery to this day was, you know, uh, in a 12-step program. I go to meetings,
Yeah.
and there was this one in particular meeting that I went to every night, and I would always stop at this 7-Eleven before going to this meeting. There was this homeless man, and he would always ask me for a dollar or so
Hmm.
when I'd come out of the store, and I'd give him a dollar or two, whatever. Well, one night when he asked me for a dollar, I give it to him, and he asked me, he was like, "Man, would you get me a pack of socks?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "You know what? I might as well get you a pack of socks. Hell, I've been buying your beer for the last couple months."
Yeah, it's more helpful than that.
Yeah, so I bought him a pack of socks, and the next time I went to that store, I saw this man, and I gave him them pack of socks, and then I started to talk to him. I told him, I was like, "Look, man, you don't have to live like this no more. I've been there, where I only lived to get messed up." And the treatment center that I went to, I always carried the cards for that treatment center in my wallet. And I reached in my wallet and I grabbed one of them cards and I gave it to him. I was like, "Look, man, give this place a call. They changed my life. They can change yours if you want a better life." And I didn't think he was gonna go nowhere.
Yeah.
I didn't see this man out there for months, 4 months to be exact. Then one day I go to a different meeting that I used to go to, that treatment center used to take me to on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And man, when I tell you, I walked in that room and there that homeless man was with the treatment center that I originally went to.
Yeah.
That was the greatest
It's a
feeling.
good feeling.
It was the greatest feeling I've felt ever
That's,
in recovery.
that's the greatest thing I feel like, just actually being able to be of use to somebody and feeling like I've done something good for a change. You know,
Exactly, because we was useless for so long.
useless, and I've always just thought about myself and blamed everyone else for my problems. Like, it's the greatest thing is just that personality change. This recovery has given me. You know, I feel like a completely different person than I used to be.
Yeah, definitely. But so and another highlight for my recovery is God.
Yeah.
Like God plays the number one thing in my recovery.
Yeah.
Like I was brought up in church, going to church, doing this and that, but I thought God was something totally different than what I think today. You do good, you get good, you do bad, you get bad.
Yeah.
That's what I used to think. But today, God does all kinds of things for me that I can't explain. I just know that it's not nothing I did. Um, all I did was, take suggestions of someone who I feel like was led by God to say whatever they said to give me the suggestion.
So, how has your relationship with family and friends changed since you've been in recovery?
Um, Man, I'm someone that they can depend on. Look, I got nieces and nephews. Um, who I can talk to. I remember I was the uncle. I've been the uncle for, man, I got all kinds of nieces and nephews, but I was the uncle that, oh, you don't need to go around here. You never
Yeah.
knew what's going on with me. Back doing meth. I mean, you definitely didn't want the kids around me. And I'm tripping, thinking, man, I had my nephews thinking that there was people in the walls.
Terrifying.
Yeah, I'm like, why is our suggestion
Scaring them to death.
Yeah, scaring them to death, like thinking they got them thinking that people's in the walls. But today, man, like my niece, she called me not long ago. "Hey, Uncle Jason, um, do you got an Amazon Prime account? Can I get your login?" She wanted to watch some show. The old me, Amazon Prime. Hell, I ain't even got a phone to look at it. What are you talking about? So yeah, I mean, and I can show up, if they need something, I can do it. My older nephew, I think he's 30 now. My older sister, she called me not too long ago and was like, "Hey, can you come talk to him? He's going through some stuff and he won't talk to me." And I go talk with him. I went back home and hung out with him for the day. I mean, he's going through life. His dad had just passed. His girlfriend just broke up with him. And I got to go be there for him. And you know, I think he drinks and maybe smokes a little pot.
Yeah.
And I just got to share, you know, my experience going that road and where that could lead.
Yeah. So on that note, what message would you give to somebody who's struggling right now?
Who's what?
Who's struggling right now?
Dude, it is a simple. It is simple. It is so simple. It sounds crazy for me to say that, but it is simple. It is not easy.
Yep.
But it's simple.
You just got to give it up. Give up.
Like I said, the hardest part for me in recovery was to make that decision.
Yeah.
You got to make that decision 100% and know that you're done with that life.
You don't have to hit as low a bottom as some people, but it's all about how much pain you want. You know, you got to be ready though.
Yeah, definitely got to be ready. But my advice is, look, if I'm not gonna say if I can turn around because God turned it around for me.
Yeah.
But you know, if life can change for me, because I know how bad I was and things I felt, then it can change for anybody. I was just a junkie who only lived to get high,
Yep.
and I didn't care that I was useless. I didn't care that this could kill me. I didn't care about living.
There was only one thing that mattered.
And that was the next one.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm here to tell you, man. You have to make that decision. You make that decision. You want a better life. It's there waiting for you. You just got to do the simple steps to get there.
Just submit to the process and do the next right thing, and your life improves.
Yeah, it's these simple things, cliches that we hear.
Yeah.
They used to get on my nerves so bad. Just do the next right thing.
Yeah.
What the hell? What's the next right thing? Well, the next right thing is not to pick up a drink or
Yeah.
pick up a drug. Life happens. You got to deal with it without the drug, without the drink.
But you know, people usually feel pretty miserable in early recovery, but you just got to stick with it, and it gets so much better. For me, things change dramatically in just a few months' time. You know, it's totally worth it. And you know, one day you're gonna look back and it's like, I don't miss that stuff. I love who I am today.
They say stick around till the miracle happens. That's another one I hated. Like, come on, ain't no freaking miracles gonna happen for me. A miracle, my past, I thought a miracle was something appearing right in front of me. That's a miracle.
Turn water into wine.
Yeah, turn some water into wine. You know, turn a couple loaves of bread to feed thousands.
Yeah.
I thought those was miracles. Dude,
I think
you're a miracle.
It's a miracle we're here today. Like,
exactly.
As many times as I should be dead. Like, I'm not a lucky guy. There had to have been something doing for me what I couldn't do for myself.
I have no luck at all. I
Yeah.
have to tell you, I like to play on FanDuel. I have no luck. There is no luck at all on my side. It's definitely, you know, trusting the process and taking the simple suggestions. And the miracle did happen with me.
Hell yeah. Well, so we're at 48 minutes. I'm pretty much out of things to ask right now. Plus, I don't want my stuff to die on me. I know this thing is kind of really low tech, like I'm just using my phone and stuff, but I'm hoping to improve as I go along. But I appreciate you coming and letting me do this, and hopefully the audio and everything works correctly so I don't screw it up.
I really appreciate you asking me, Adam, to be your first interviewer.
Yeah.
That really makes me feel good. And I look forward to seeing everyone else that you're going to interview.
This should be interesting.
And I really hope this little podcast takes off for you.
Well, I'm just going to keep at it, and hopefully it can be useful to somebody, and it maybe help me stay sober. That's the whole point. Okay, well, so anybody that watches this, hopefully you heard something that's helpful or somebody it was useful to. But yep, please like and subscribe, hit the notification button, and I'll keep you updated and keep trying to improve things. But anyway, stay safe out there, stay sober. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Peace.